Hello, everybody. Today we have Bruno Soltic with us. He's an archaeologist and storyteller who runs the channel Digging Deeper with Bruno. Originally from Croatia, he travels the world sharing, uncovering, and sharing fascinating stories from ancient sites, ranging from Central Asia to the Middle East. Bruno is here to show her how talking about and exploring the past can be a fun experience for everyone. Before we begin, I would like to welcome Bruno to our channel and thank him very much for making the time and speaking with us. Thank you so much, Bruno, and welcome to our channel.
Thank you very much for having me. I'm very happy to be here.
Bruno, please tell us, where are you from and what first sparked your interest in archaeology, leading eventually to digging deeper with Bruno?
I'm from Croatia, Europe, originally, and I have been a very curious little boy. And so one time, my father took me to a lecture series by an archaeologist, and in my hometown in Croatia, and he had like a couple of weeks long like series about ancient world, Petra, where he excavated, and so it like piqued my interest. So I went and visited every time, and it was very nice experience. And he also had like this ancient Bibles, like the oldest Bible collection, and we had a Bible from like 1900s. So we gave him the Bible, and he gave us some books and stuff. And then later on, I had reconnected with him, and we do speak quite often. I even invited him to my wedding, but I think he's 86 right now, but 86, 87. Yeah, so that is what piqued my interest, and then I kind of pursue archaeology in like a longer term. I went into the theology first, and then later on I switched to the archaeology. And how did my digging deeper with Bruno started? I always like making videos. I started making videos, I would say 15 years ago, but it was all like for fun, and it was never like, oh, I have to make something. And I think 3 years ago, 2, 3 years ago, I was like, okay, well, I'm very good at this skill, and this is how the media is moving to, and how the world is moving to. Like people are more used to watching videos and stuff. So I just decided to give a professional but also a fun storytelling experience for everyone and making videos. Plus, I'm very happy making videos. So this is like part of my hobby. So I found something that I like to do and I enjoy doing it. And so that's how kind of how it grew.
Thinking back on your project, is there a discovery or moment that still excites you today?
I've excavated several sites. We had one in Kazakhstan that was a very interesting project, and we were looking for necropolis, which is a burial place. Necropolis, necro is dead, and polis is like a city, like a graveyard from the 11th century. And I did not find it because I had to go. I had to go home. Actually, I got stuck in a different country, but that's a different story. And they were able to find it in the last day. They found some gravestones, and then later on, they had amazing excavations at that site. And then also, I found the lion's foot once in Tel Gezer in modern day Israel. It was like a lion's foot, and then when I found it, I was so excited. And then the professor told me, "Well, you need to find the whole lion now." So, so that was the exciting part. But we also found at that site we found some evidence for Pharaoh Meneptah, who was a Egyptian pharaoh who destroyed Gezer, and he made a Mesha stela, which is a like a document where he's mentioned Israel for the first time. And we kind of found the evidence of him destroying Gezer, which you also mentioned on that stela. We found, on people who were dead underneath the rubble, and they were most likely the warriors.
Has one artifact or site changed the way you see history?
There, that is a very naive view of archaeology, you can't just have one artifact change everything. There's no such thing as the Holy Grail or the Ark of the Covenant and things like that. You just don't have one. Like the archaeology is so limited already because we have, how would I say this? We have so much that is undiscovered, and we will still have a lot undiscovered. So there's a vast field. So we have some discoveries that are amazing, like the Qumran scrolls. We have the discovery of the David the Tel Dan stela with inscriptions of David. We have all the discovery the Siloam pool. We have this giant dam at the bottom of Jerusalem. So we have a lot of discoveries, but they're groundbreaking, but they're not redefining everything. Like, oh, this is a game changer. No, it's not a game changer. It's just like a small piece of the puzzle that we're trying to reconstruct. So I would say even the greatest discovery, let's say the Qumran scrolls, is just a lot of puzzles together, not the whole picture.
Fieldwork isn't easy. What's a challenge you face often, and how do you handle it?
Digging life. Well, there's a challenge like this summer. I was unable to go because there was a war. So Middle East is always there's always something happening, you know. So this summer we couldn't go because of the war. So that is one challenge. I was there 2014 when we had some Gaza rockets fired. I was there in 2000. I was there in last year. So again, it was very like no tourists. So those are the challenges. There's also challenges of transportation, and the biggest challenge is the money. So someone has to pay for all of that stuff. So those are the major challenges that you have. Also the time, you know, I have little children at home. So leaving them for such a long time is also a very challenging. Luckily enough, I'm not a how would you say, a full-time archaeologist. I'm a scholar that I teach in the regular time, and then I go for excavations for only 4 weeks, 3 weeks, depends on the season, how long the season lasts. So, but the major challenges are definitely the region where we're excavating, the financials of that, and also finding the time to have free time to go to.
When you share archaeology online, how do you keep it accurate but still make it engaging for people?
That is very, very challenging because you have some people who are either very naive in the words, so saying in very, very simple ways and mostly inaccurate, and then you have plus they're not archaeologists. They say I'm an archaeologist, but they're not real archaeologists. They've been on excavations. If you've been on excavations, it's not technical archaeology. You have to have education in archaeology. However, second thing is you also have people who are not sharing much, and even if they're sharing something that's very, very high end. Um, but unfortunately, which I think my channel is one of the rarest ones on YouTube that I would have a biblical archaeology, but I'm also sharing the truth. So I'm not trying to sensationalize things. You know, you have some channels, I'm not going to mention them, but they talk about Garden of Eden and how he found the Garden of Eden, and he has the whole video about that, or how he has the evidence of the Exodus, so it's very, very like sensationalism, kind of like what's the guy's name? The Ancient Civilization from Netflix, whatever his name is. I don't even want to mention him. But yeah, so you have these pseudoscientists who are, you know, getting a lot of views just because they are talking about something that people want to believe in, but there's actually no evidence for that. So there's the challenge between that. So I'm trying to kind of bridge the gap between make it interesting, but also make it true and make it, you know, data filled, not dogma filled.
Yeah. So, are there any common myths about biblical archaeology which more people understood better?
I mean, that's all they are is the myths. You know, there are a lot of stories. The latest, not the latest one, but there were some, you know, the Ark of Noah on Mount Ararat. That's a myth. Uh, so we have people been excavating there. I have actually a friend of mine who actually went there. They made a movie about it. Who went there, excavated. There was also some myths that Mount Sinai is not on Sinai Peninsula, but it's Saudi Arabia. Some people were claiming they found the Pharaoh's wheel in the Red Sea, which the Egyptian wheel of the chariot, so there are like a lot of things. Like I would say every couple of years something else comes up that it's absolute myth, and the people just try to kind of put evidence onto their faith, which faith is basically something you believe based on no evidence. So if you want to believe in something, go ahead and believe in something, but don't say, oh, well, we have evidence for it. Then it's not true. We have evidence. We have a lot of archaeological evidence about the Bible that should be enough for everyone to say, okay, this is a legitimate book. It has some truth in it. But no, people wanna, this is also happened, things like that. So there are a lot of myths are coming out, and a lot of people are believing those myths, especially because people who are telling them they are very persuasive and how they presented things. And especially a lot of people, they're not highly educated. I think there's only like less than 1% of people in the world with a PhD. I don't have a PhD, but I'm getting educated for it. But less than 1% of people have PhDs. So a lot of people don't have a crucial thing in their development and education. It's just critical thinking. So you have to think critically to distinguish the evidence. And now we have AI, which can invent everything. I see my students when they use AI. I know it's the second they use AI, I know, because AI would sometimes hallucinate, or they would give them the wrong answer, or the answer would be too good. And then I would actually know that it's not them who's writing. But you have all of that, so people don't know how to distinguish what is true and what is not true.
So, has social media made a difference in how you and others in your field share discoveries?
I mean, I decided to go with the social media because, again, it makes me happy to make videos. I was making videos way before social media. I think the only thing we have was Facebook, and Instagram was still actually posting photos. I was doing videos, but I wasn't I was doing like one or two video a year. And now I do like 50 to 60 videos a year plus shorts. Uh, it's a little easier to edit as well. But sorry. So social media, most archaeologists don't use social media for archaeology, or most people are not as interested in what content they would post. I had one video that I made, and I'm not regretting that I made it because I don't like to make fun of people. But there was this lady that talked about complete nonsense at Jerash. It wasn't her fault. The people there told her the lie, but the video reached like 3 million views. So I was like, this is absolutely insane. And again, that's not the form that I like to take. And I think the reason is because what she was saying was so crazy that people like kind of like went off of that, and they kind of like to hear what I had to say back. But I like educational videos, and I think I'm gonna try to stick with my form no matter of the views at this moment, because that's how I feel the media should represent it. So there are some people if you want to have a lot of views on social media, you have to say something confrontational, you know. Let's say I'm just gonna make it up, Utnapishtu was the greatest hero of all times, and and he cheated on his wives, and then he killed the god of Enki, something like that. You have to say something very controversial. I mean, I'm just making things up. I'm just saying things like in a nice way, and to get a lot of followings, and then you have to have people who are confronting with each other. I made a video about the word burek, which is a Turkish dish, but a lot of Balkan countries are using it, and then the Bosnians have made this change. Anyway, I just made it just fun video because I was in Turkey, and
Yeah,
I had like ton of comments on about people fighting over it, over the word,
yeah.
what the word would mean for a dish. It's like blows my mind. And when I talk about something that's very historical, like the Rome and Constantinople, things like that, I don't really have that many views. But again, that's because how social media is viewed. You know, you have if you say something controversial, then you're gonna get a lot of views. If you just talk about history, you're not gonna get that many views.
How do you help your followers feel curious and include it in your work? How do you help your followers
Oh,
be
how?
engaged with your
Oh,
work?
yeah, yes. Well, sorry. Well, I kind of answered this already. That's the whole point is to be engaging, to be like, sensational. You'll
Yeah,
have more followers and you have more people, more engagement. And the way the media is working right now, it's more raw content. So like these highly edited videos and everything's amazing. It's kind of getting out now that AI is catching up and can animate all of that for you. So everyone can be a creator. Now we have this, I want raw, I want human experience. I don't want any AI, fake people. I want the reality. That's what kind of we're going in. Like this edit, it's like like keep that in. So I think that's how it kind of it's moving. But how to engage? I mean, I'm just doing what I like to do. If someone else likes what I do, I'm happy. But I'm not chasing likes. It feels good, but like like I said, when I had this video go viral, it was absolutely insane. Like my Instagram was like blowing up. I had to like mute everything because it was absolutely, I don't know how people live. And then I had these comments, and then I had another comment, and then I was just like, I cannot respond to all of this. You have 600 comments overnight, and you're like, how do people do this? This is absolutely insane. So
yeah,
it's not something um, that I'm really like want to be a part of as much. I mean, yes, of course, I'll respond to people, I'll respond to messages,
yeah,
but it's not something that's like my thing. I like my research, I like traveling, I'm kind of combining all of it, and I like making videos. So that's what I things that I like. If I hated any of these things, I would not be doing this. And again, I'm not a huge creator, but of course, you're trying to grow, because if you don't trying to grow, then what's
yeah.
the point? But again, I'm trying to engage as much as I can. Majority of my viewers, especially on YouTube, is men. It's like 70-30. A lot of
Mm.
men, because a lot of men love history. And, when you talk about the Roman Empire, men talk about the Roman Empire. Women usually don't talk about the Roman Empire. And I'm not trying to be sexist. This is just what the statistics on my YouTube says. So yeah, so that's just kind of trying to make content for that. I have a exciting video coming out soon about what happened to the other side of the Colosseum. I have a video coming out that I'm editing about the Argento, and I'm making a commemoration video for one of my professors who passed away recently. Those are the couple of things that I'm making, and then of course I have like 90 something videos that I still have to make and post. So I'll be busy till next summer.
Say this, what role do you think digital media will play in the future of historical research and preservation?
Um, I'm not talking about digital media, but I think digital media is just kind of one medium that you can present your
Yeah,
data. But I think the scholars are still going to write papers, and I think we're still going to have presentations and conferences. I always go to a conference for archaeology every year. Or at least I try to go every year, or go virtually if not in person. So we have archaeological conferences, meeting of the minds, meeting of the friends. So presentation of those conferences, presentation of data. And good thing about archaeology is very visual, so people can actually see what you're doing. And you can present some of the stuff, but to the regular viewer, that's very boring. Like, because sometimes I sit in these papers and I'm like, I actually enjoy this, but I know hundred thousands of people would hate this because it's not as engaging. I think the archaeologists should get engaged and be more, how to say, developed, how to present better, how to be more engaging, how to be more engaging to the public, and also, of course, use the social medias or medias to present some of their work, because people do have interest in that, especially in the new discoveries. Kind of, wake up your inner Indiana Jones.
yeah,
That said, but there's also this AI, and I think the AI is also very powerful in archaeology, and we can bring a lot of good things. I'm thinking about creating a program that can basically detect what kind of pottery it is and basically date it for you. Because we based our like how do I say, in archaeology you date everything, like let's say year 1000, year 1100, and things like that. We would date it based on pottery. Yeah, we have different types of pottery. So how people, let's say, I'll give you example of a MP3 player. 50 years ago in 1950s we would have a record. Then we had a cassette player, in the 80s and 90s. Then we had a Discman, and then we had a Discman, and we have an iPad, and now we have a phone or whatever, or Apple Watch, whatever. So I can date based on, like, if I'm watching a movie, I can see a Discman, I know it's in the 80s or 90s, like 90s. If I see a cassette tape, it's in the 80s. If I see a record player, it's in the 70s. So same thing is with the pottery.
Are there any upcoming projects or locations you're particularly excited to explore next?
Yes, I do have a project. My school, we're joining a project in the Sea of Galilee, so the northern region of ancient Israel. So the Sea of Galilee, it's probably Bethsaida, which is most likely the place where Jesus was. So that's one of the places around the River Jordan. That's one of the projects, and there's also Ashdod, which is on the southern side, very close to Gaza. That's also one of the projects that we have. I've Those are the two ones. I think I'm gonna have to go to what's it called? To the Bethsaida, because it's later in the summer, and I'm giving lectures on the cruise ship in the summer. So it doesn't work with my schedule very well. So I have lectures. I'm giving lectures about history on the ships, and then I'm gonna go to the project in the dirt. So probably in the second half of the summer.
What advice would you like to give to your younger self?
What advice would I like to give to my younger self? Don't go into archaeology. No, I'm joking. I enjoy what I do, but it's definitely a not. If you want to have a lot of money, definitely that's not a choice you want to go for. But again, you have a good life. It's a life of a lot of good experiences, and I enjoy traveling. I enjoy exploring. I enjoy new things. I enjoy creating that stuff. So archaeology is a good choice. What I would advise myself is start a little bit sooner, and also work and invest the money. So what would I do? I would invest money in the stock market and be able to retire earlier and do the work, like, because if you have the money, then you don't have to worry about working for a university or someone else. You can do your own research. So yeah, that's what I would basically advise myself. You start the money, invest early, and yeah, kind of figure out what you want a little bit earlier than at my age. I'm just
Yeah,
trying to figure out I'm trying to figure out what I like right now, and it's
yeah,
much easier to see what you like when you
yeah,
have finances.
yeah. And finally, what does success look like to you? And when do you feel like you're living your purpose?
So, what a success. Success is very, very subjective, even though we kind of have this, how would I say, we have this kind of view of American dream, let's say, that, you come here and you build your business and you build wealth and then you're rich. In Croatia, where the salaries are much lower, the people are more social. Like my sister is having, I think, like over 60 people for her son's first birthday party. That's like crazy. That's a wedding in America. Some of the so it's really, how would I say? So success for me is for my kids to love me. That's for my wife to love me, not to be annoying, not to be a angry old man when I grew up. I would love to be also healthy. That's extremely important. So health, love as well, and experiences. And I don't want to be like we were thinking about traveling somewhere a couple of weeks ago, but I decided not to go because it was too tight. Like it was just didn't work out. And now I'm kind of regretting it that we didn't go. Like I don't want to have this like regrets because I'm like, oh, I have time for this, I have time for this, but then you don't have time at the end. Like you don't have time. And then like so we have this limited time, I don't know, like 50, 60, 70 years, 80 years if you're lucky. Plus at the end you also can be sick, so you're not really as mobile, nor you really want to do that. And I enjoy traveling. So I think for me, a success will be if I can retire in a couple of years. My kids love the father that they have. My wife loves the husband that they have, and at least 100 countries.
Oh, that's good. Sounds great. Sounds great.
Yeah, and also my YouTube. If I don't know, there's not like a number that I really care, but if
Yeah.
I have like 100,000 just to get the first button, I think my kids would be very, very proud of me, or very happy with
I'm
me,
sure.
so
I'm
they
sure
can
of that.
brag.
Yeah.
The dad has 100,000. I'm nowhere near. I'm but like 93% short of that. But I think eventually it might happen, but it's not like something that I'm pursuing actively. I mean, like I said, I'm making videos that I want to make. I think they're good. I use them in my education when I teach my
Yeah.
students. I use my videos. They really enjoy that. And so that is basically success for me.
Yeah. Sounds great, Bruno. Thank you so much, Bruno, for sharing all this valuable knowledge and information with us. We wish you continued success in all aspects of your life. Thank you so much, everybody, for watching this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Thank you so much, everybody. Have a good day. Thank you so much,
Thank
Bruno.
you. Bye bye.